Stragglers. Hello, everyone. We're here for Coach Conversations. I'm Suzanne Taylor King, life and mental performance coach for entrepreneurs and practice owners. And I am so excited tonight for Coach Conversations. We are joined tonight by one of my favorite now authors. This is the book we're going to be discussing tonight, and we're going to be talking about human-centered communication, which all of you know me in some capacity, and you know I'm a huge fan of building rapport, authentic connection, and having real, honest conversations with people. And so when this book came across my desk and I started diving into it, I happened to reach out to the author who's here tonight joining us, Ethan. I reached out to him on LinkedIn, totally cold, and said, I loved your book. And just sent him a nice compliment. And he responded back with a video thanking me for the feedback. And I forget what else he said, but it was so awesome. And we got in this conversation, and here he is tonight. So I just wanted to share that connection story with you, because that's the power and that's the things you can do on social media. So thank you, Ethan, for being here. And please say a little bit about yourself and how you ended up on the communication journey.
Sure. First, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, any of you who's put yourself out there in any format, in any channel, in any way, like the things you care about, the things that are important to you, sharing things that you picked up along the way, and someone else says, hey, what you spent all your time on is very interesting to me. Of course, I was going to reply. I always reply to people with a video, which is something we can get into if we want to. But so I built my career in local television. I ran marketing teams inside like local ABC, NBC, Fox stations in Grand Rapids, Michigan, in Chicago, and in Colorado Springs, where I am now. And I was bored with the work. It's a transition story, I guess. I was bored with the work. So I'd done it for a dozen years. It's highly repetitive and cyclical. Like the same things happen about the same time every year. I don't know how much television news any of you watch, but you know, most days of the week, it's not especially useful. And so, although I think it has a role to play in a community for sure, but that's a separate topic for a separate conversation. I started doing project work with a bunch of people that I liked. I was working on an MBA at the time, so I was meeting people through that. And so I just started to do project work to see what people would pay me for, what skills were transferable, what was fun and interesting. And I started doing project work for the two co-founders of the software company that I've worked at for a decade now. And along that journey, I just started writing a book, the first book, Rehumanize Your Business, which is subtitle is How Personal Videos Accelerate Sales and Improve Customer Experience. And it was just based on how excited I was about how far we had come as a company and as a community around this idea of replacing some of our faceless typed out text with simple personal videos, because it saves us time. It helps us explain things more clearly. People can feel like they know us before they meet us, all these different benefits, because, you know, these digital channels that we're all spending more and more time in, besides getting on a Zoom call like this, where we can actually kind of properly meet each other. You know, we're sending Slack messages and LinkedIn messages and email messages that are faceless. They don't differentiate us. They don't build trust and rapport, and they don't explain things nearly as well as just looking someone in the eye through the camera and just talking to them. And so that's something we've been doing at BombBomb. And so I just got excited about how far we had come in advancing this idea, because no one was doing it when the company was legally founded in 2006. The iPhone didn't even exist yet, and it was still a year and a half from having a video camera in it. You know, flash forward 5 or 10 years from there, and we all have internet connections and that are high quality. We have cameras that are high definition. So why aren't more people doing this? And there are a number of factors. Human vulnerability is the single biggest one of them. You might feel that as, I don't like the way I look or sound. That might not even be a conscious feeling, or sorry, conscious thought. It might just actually be this internal feeling. So anyway, I wrote this first book, really enjoyed it. The process, learned a lot along the way. I didn't know anything about anything. I'd never written a book. I'd never brought a book to market. So that was a fun process. And it became something that we realized was something that we could do as an organization in terms of advancing ideas. It's really interesting how far this old-fashioned physical analog carrier of thoughts and ideas and stories and examples can go to reaching beyond your own digital reach. Our digital reach is generally bigger than we imagine. The opportunity to reach out to anybody. Like I do it all. What you did, Suzanne, is something I do all the time to people I hear on podcasts. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person is fantastic, super interesting. I have a question that the host of that podcast episode didn't ask. I'll just reach out to them, and almost always they reply because of what I said.
I do the same thing, and I'm always
someone's
surprised.
interested in your ideas. They want to, you want to find, some community and some camaraderie and advance and develop the idea. So anyway, my co-author on the first one is a longtime friend and team member, and he had this idea for the second book when the basic premise is, okay, by the way, COVID and pandemic never occur in the book. You'll never read those words, but certainly we have to accept the idea that's pandemic influenced, that no matter how our business is structured, no matter what we do, we're going to be doing more sales and service. And I use both of those terms very broadly. Creation and delivery of value is be an even more generic way to say it. We'll be doing more of that in digital, virtual, and online channels. Those channels are noisier and more polluted than ever. Digital communication, specifically typed out text, is visually and emotionally impoverished. What are we going to do about that? And so we roped in 11 of our expert friends. We can get into who those people are shortly. And I ended up turning their stories and lessons into this structure that's anchored around this concept of digital pollution is this problem of all the things that's in the subtitle. All the things that confuse us, frustrate us, annoy us, give us anxiety, perhaps threaten us. Is this email from who it says it's from? Is this social profile real or is it spoofed? We've all had friends. I just had one on Instagram. A friend of mine requested me to follow, he just started following me. So I was like, oh gosh, that's really weird. I thought I was connected to him on Instagram. So I follow him back, and then I end up searching because he messaged me about crypto. I was like, that's weird. So I end up, searching him in Instagram. And of course, now I'm following two versions of him. So that kind of stuff, like, is this link safe to click? Is this attachment safe to download? That's on the threatening end. On the other end, it's just like, why the hell is this a group text message? This is really about me and him, or me and her. Like, I didn't need to see 14 people's replies. So when I pick up my phone and there are 84 new text messages, like, what's going on? Oh, I'm unwittingly and undesirably in a group text. So that's like the shallow end of, or the innocent end of this problem. And so we devised this language of human-centered communication, which is a blend of human-centered design, a 30 or 40-year-old practice for designing any system or process or product or service, and our daily digital communication, human-centered communication. So it's a privilege to write it. I really enjoyed the process. It was a lot different than the first one. It represents a lot of different people's ideas, and I hope it's helpful to any of you that engage with it. Sorry, that was much longer than I intended.
Well, quite all right. I loved it. I absolutely love it. Well, let's do our 1-minute intros for our coaches that are joining us tonight, so you can get an idea of who's in the room. So Ethan can get an idea. We can all get an idea. You know who I am. Lisa, you're on my right today. I'll have you go first. Try to keep it nice and tight to 1 minute.
Yeah, it's not going to be even that long. I'm Lisa Tucci. I live in Wilmington, Delaware, and I help people go all in by finding their voice and what their core values are so that they can bring that into their professional life. I also help and work with network marketers and help them, use automation and various things and bring that stuff they learned about themselves into their work life. And so it's really fun. I love it. Thanks.
Awesome. And Lisa and I met on a networking app.
App. Yep.
How do you like that? We swiped each other left. All right.
Business
Catherine.
dating.
Yes, business dating. Catherine.
That's hysterical. I didn't even know about that app. Yeah. Yeah, my name is Catherine Chadwick. And you know what is so fun? I just think life is supposed to be fun. And I help people craft lives that they really want. So I am a transformational life and wellness coach. I'm a nurse by profession with a certificate in applied positive psychology. And I just help people live the lives that they want to have. And so that's my shtick, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I love it. Thanks for being here, Catherine.
Thank you.
And Jason.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Good.
I'm Jason Integrity. I own a company called Integrity Go. And what I do is help companies with their marketing and sales conversation. I'm a sales strategist / coach by trade, but we need to start this conversation with our marketing and have it smoothly transition into a sale. So we're not pitching and hoping to close. We're just having a conversation with the people who need our products. So we put it together and it should be fun every day. I agree with Catherine. We should enjoy life every minute of it, including the work part.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Jason. Bruce, say hello, who you are, what you do.
Sure. All these people talking about happiness and stuff. I've got the best job in the world, I think. But I'm Bruce LaFetra. Clients call me the client whisperer because I show lawyers, CPAs, and other professionals how to attract better clients, charge more, and spend less time on marketing. By reverse engineering their best client relationships, I get to fundamentally change how and who generates business. And the same clarity that attracts better clients also makes it easy to scale the rainmaking process. So it fuels growth and gives the firm leaders even more options. Think of me when you've got an owner of a firm who's trapped, and they could be trapped from exiting, or they could be trapped from growth because they're responsible for all the business coming in. That means that the business can't grow if they aren't working harder and harder, or they can't exit because they are the value of the business. So think of me as attracting more of your best clients by thinking like your best clients.
Love it. Well, thanks for being here, Bruce. And Martine, welcome.
How you doing? And thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm a former BombBomb user. Love the program. It's been a while. Martine Lopez, I wrote a book called The Curiosity Theory. I teach a course called Men's Breakthrough Challenge, and the Curiosity Theory is about building rapport, deepening relationships, and resolving conflict. And I'm just very grateful to be here.
Thanks for being here. And my friend, Michael.
Good evening, everybody. First off, before I start saying about myself, Ethan, BombBomb makes me think of Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, good.
For those of you who know that reference. So my core belief is that people do not want your thing. They want what your thing means to them. My goal is to change the language and the conversation around business and growing business away from transactional and into the space of what's meaningful. I truly believe that's how we connect, and that's what grows a business. And it works fabulously through my work with messaging and value articulation. I work with consultants in similar fields that Bruce does, but mostly professional consultants to 2x to 5x their business just by changing how they talk about themselves and how they articulate the meaning they have in the life of the people they're trying to attract.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, everyone. I really appreciate each and every one of you and coming together in this space to talk about one of the things I'm really passionate about and have gotten more passionate about since reading this book. So you can totally participate even if you haven't read the book, but I highly recommend getting a copy of Human-Centered Communication. And I have 3 post-its in the book of topics for us to talk about and people for us to talk about.
I saw those flags sticking out. I was like, that's a very positive sign.
It's a very good sign. So one of the things I love to do is give people resources and people to connect with, to engage with online, and to be really intentional about it. And Ethan has cultivated some really cool people from this book. So I'm sure he's connected to them all on LinkedIn. Ethan, who was your favorite, or who do you resonate the most with?
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. You know, I think of it like, you know, I love all my children kind of a scenario. It's funny. So what Suzanne's referring to, you know, Steve's my longtime friend and team member and chief marketing officer here at BombBomb. As soon as he pitched me on the idea for the book, it involved this idea of having other people write chapters So to get people to contribute chapters to the book, and then we kind of tighten it and tie it all together. We did some screening interviews with some of the people we definitely wanted involved, and even someone like Shep Hyken, who is a professional speaker and customer experience and customer service expert. He's written like 9 books, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, bestseller. He's like, love you guys, love the idea. This is going to be great. Definitely want to participate. I'm not writing anything. So we ended up doing these deep, we did research and then interviews with these people. So I've observed in talking with people who have read the book that they usually attach to 1 or 2 or 3 of the people, either because of the nature of their story or background, or because of their specific area of expertise and what they're able to teach strategically and tactically, because each of these chapters 3 through 13 all feature an individual person. I like them all for different reasons, but if I had to answer your question and to honor the fact that you asked it, I will. I really liked best and was most excited by chapters 3, 4, and 5 together. That's Jocko van der Kooi, who's just a very interesting thinker. I guess I would describe him as a revenue architect or a sales engineer. He's got like this, he's very interesting from a revenue generation standpoint, but really full funnel, including post-sale and recurring revenue, repeat and referral, et cetera. So it starts with him. And we talk about what's wrong with the traditional sales and marketing funnel. We go into Dan Hill is in chapter 4. He's an emotional intelligence expert with 7 US patents in the analysis of facial coding data, friend and student of Paul Ekman and his facial the fax system, facial something coding system. So we get into the importance of emotion and emotional content, emotional resonance, the fact that emotion drives both memory and motivation. So if we were going to actually move someone to act, there needs to be this emotional component, which then, of course, ties back into this faceless typed out text that we all think is going to be persuasive somehow. And then Matthew Sweezy is chapter 5. He's a futurist, as well as he's formally hired as a futurist at Salesforce with a marketing background, and wrote an absolutely excellent book called The Context Marketing Revolution. And so the 3 of those people set the kind of scene in a way that I would have had to do all the lifting on my own, of kind of, Dan with this deep, like, who are we as a creature, as a species, as an individual, as a social creature, and how do we relate to one another, wrapped in kind of the sales, marketing, service stuff of Jocko, and this kind of look to the present and the future of just this noisy, polluted digital environment in which attention is harder and more expensive to get than ever. Trust is harder to establish and reestablish, frankly. It's much more fragile. Someone whose work that I leaned on a couple different times throughout the book, a gentleman named Dr. Nick Morgan, wrote an excellent book called Can You Hear Me? I think the subtitle is How to Connect with People in a Virtual World. And he gets to this idea that digital relationships diminish over time naturally. Is just part of our psychology. And so this idea of, someone you haven't seen in quite some time, that relationship, even though you might be sustaining it a little bit with some digital touches, is naturally diminishing in quality as time goes on. And so this idea gives me this idea of like filling the reservoir back up by having a coffee or a lunch or a breakfast or, a Zoom call, if that's going to be, the best thing available for any of a variety of reasons. And so anyway, chapters 3, 4, and 5, I think, set the scene in a way that I didn't have to do myself, leans into their unique expertise, and they were sequenced there. By the way, sequencing all these people is like, some of you look like you might be as old as I am, like sequencing a mixtape, which then turned into a mixed CD, which then turned into like a playlist. And just the care, like each one stands on its own and has its own strengths, but they complement each other. There's intentional design to the way that they interact and build off one another. But the start of that set is my favorite, I think.
Okay. Well, I'd love to get some feedback from our coaches about how they feel about digital pollution. Before reading your book, I dove into some work with Hal Elrod and digital minimalism and a world without email. And I love the concepts. I'm not willing to go that far, but I am willing to disconnect a lot because of all the noise and all the inputs. And I wonder how our coaches feel being in the digital space, needing to be online, whether it's for meetings or networking or attracting clients. How do you feel about digital pollution? Is it a thing for you? And where do you stand on improving it?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. I never really got into social media and all the digital stuff. So I don't need a detox because I hardly ever talked, if that's a word. All right. When back in the day when I was on Facebook, I was only on in 2 private groups, and one of them was like a totally bunch of nerds talking about movies and Marvel and all that sort of stuff. So it was a very curated experience. It didn't have the feed, if you will. And I'm no longer on that platform. So I just have LinkedIn occasionally, and then networking, right? So my digital footprint's pretty low, but even that to me, because I'm coming at it from a place of kind of still exploring and not being exposed to a bunch of it, my tolerance for it is lower than most. So when I read the feed, it's like, what is this? It kind of feels like, things aren't connecting to me, right? And there's a lot of, hey, let me tell you all about my expertise and how this thing that I know that I think you should know. And I like that. It's just, they're all starting to blend in with each other. And it becomes almost like a bunch of articles in a never-ending magazine. And so you got to be a lot more choosier,
never-ending
pickier about which
magazine.
articles you're going to consume, right? I mean, whatever your favorite magazine is, imagine it coming at you once an hour with something new. It's like, oh my God.
And blended with your least favorite magazine at the same time.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my experience around it, which I'm really happy to hear from Ethan. And Ethan, I'd love to have a separate conversation with you. I am making plans to do video, and it's not going to be like, here's what I know. It's here's what I noticed. Just really things like that. I find it much more connecting rather than understanding. I don't want to know what you know. I want to know who you are.
I love that.
I think that's where everything has to start. I spend so much time filtering through, especially like the LinkedIn message, right? So you make a connection with somebody and then they send you this 37 paragraph thing. And it's like, why are you pitching me already? You don't even know what I do, right? So I started using that as an opportunity, and it's like, this is wrong. You should not be doing this. You identify yourself as a real person first. Let's start a conversation. And then through this conversation, maybe I may need something that you have, and then we can talk about it. But don't pitch me. Stop pitching so early. So I picked up clients this way. So now when I see it, it's like, oh, that's a paragraph. Let me talk to this guy. I got something for you.
Nice.
So now we can have this conversation. Secondly, I'm not quite done with the book. I'm about 85%, but this is so much in my wheelhouse. I agree with everything in it. I'm looking at the bow tie funnel like, yeah, this is exactly how this is supposed to go. So excellent, Ethan. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, now Jason's saying, oh my God, you sent me a paragraph. On the flip side of that, the people who send you nothing, just a request to connect with no note, no like, hey, here's why, or anything. It's like, no.
Well, as a coach, that people are on LinkedIn, if you have even coach remotely in your title, people who get leads for coaches are looking to connect with you. So if I see that in their description, I'm like, oh no, we're not having the spam messages come through. And I think for me, it's about those messages constantly of somebody trying to sell me something and they don't even know if I need it. or not.
Mhm.
And I typically ask, how's this working for you as far as getting
Oh
clients?
no.
Does it,
That's like opening the
does it,
door.
I know, they don't answer. They typically don't answer. So if you get another paragraph back, you know it's a robot messaging you, and at that point it's kind of useless to keep connecting. Anyone else have? Go ahead,
No,
Martine. Was that you?
I
Catherine?
agree with you, Suzanne. You know, it's what Jim Quick refers to as digital dementia, right?
Mm.
And because it gets to just be way too much. And and you know what's so interesting, I think that there is a certain element that you might consider as ineffective video that is a relatively high percentage, and has a numbing effect as far as I'm concerned. So you know, it's really important, I believe, to you know, put out a video that really serves
Mhm.
who you're talking to, but also reflects you as a person who wants to serve them. And you know, you want to talk with them and not talk at them. And so yeah, I think that that's good. And I have to admit, it's taken me a while to get more comfortable in the video world, even though I have, you know, experience in entertainment. I was always great at, you know, going to play a role for somebody else. But when it started, you know, when I got to where I was putting out my own stuff, so like, wow, who are you? So, you know, there's certainly getting to that point of, as what you were talking about earlier, Michael, earlier today at your workshop was, you know, who are you?
Yeah.
And how are you going to portray that? And that's what comes across, because you know, if you're not authentic, it's flip off, flip off, flip off.
Yeah. Well, compliments to your last LinkedIn Live that I caught, Catherine. It was authentic. You served your listener. Your voice and your tool that you offered was so calming. So for anybody who hasn't seen that, go to Catherine's profile and check out her latest video. It was wonderful. So I felt totally like it was authentically you. It was great.
Well, and you know, and I also want to say, you know, I set up this little recording area for myself, and I had kind of compacted the space to not want to take too much space in my living space, right? And so I've been working on that, but I always felt a little constricted, and I felt that always came through in the video. So, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I said, all right, you know, I'm taking the leap, I'm moving things out of the way, and I'm standing up, I've got movement, and I have space, and it makes a world of difference. So I'm putting that out there as actually a recording tip for anybody who wants to do that, because it's just like, oh my gosh, give yourself room to be you.
Movement.
Oh, and there's something magical about standing up. I'm sitting down because I was standing all day today, but there's something magical about standing up when you're presenting virtually.
Makes all the difference.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
All right.
I also stand all day.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
I did. I stand I'd say 90% of my time on the computer or on Zoom. I want to jump forward to chapter 6. I love this because of my mindfulness background. It's written, this chapter is Julie Hansen, and she talks about being present, being passionate about what you do. And I think with video, and please, anyone jump in, with video, you're able to get across when you're passionate about something, excited about something, without saying, I'm excited, I'm passionate.
Okay, so big idea here. So one, Julie Hansen is awesome. Suzanne and I were talking before, and she mentioned that she liked that chapter. Julie's awesome. She was a sales professional and then a sales manager who looked around one day and felt something that most humans feel at some point, which is, I don't feel as confident as everyone else around me seems, right? So we're projecting confidence onto other people. Probably we're probably more confident than we are in that kind of self-reflective moment. But she looked around and realized that acting class and improv classes would be a great tool for her to develop more confidence in herself, in her body, in her voice, period. And then ended up becoming a professional actress. And then now teaches people to use classic acting and improv techniques to be more effective in their entire sales role, but even more specifically on camera. So she's a great resource. She's written a couple of books as well. And this what you were talking about, seeing this passion piece, it goes to a much bigger idea, which is there's so many things that we hope someone might understand or think about us or feel about us that can only be demonstrated. And in fact, the more you verbalize them, the less true they seem, right? Like, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, what, you weren't being honest with me before? My fun one is classy. Anytime someone
I've literally
tells you
said that before.
But yeah. Anytime someone tells you that they're classy, odds are they're not. It's a thing you just do, and other people observe it. You might not even seek to demonstrate it. Really, the classiest people don't. That's what's so attractive about it. But there are things that, and as a salesperson, we want people to know that we're responsive, that we're thoughtful, that we're curious, but you can't go at it and say, you're going to want to work with me because I am a very thoughtful and curious person. It's something you demonstrate over time through interaction, and video does this so much better. But to this point of Julie, it's this alignment of, I believe in what I'm saying. I'm excited about what I'm saying. I'm in front of you because I think there's a really nice opportunity here. I'm going to find an appropriate way to, it's this alignment of, I believe in what I'm saying. I'm excited about what I'm saying. I'm excited for you relative to this opportunity. And so, I need to capture that and convey that either on a live call or in a video message. And so that alignment piece is this, it's something other people can feel. It's something that you're demonstrating, not in a conscious, intentional way, but because it's true to you. It's inherent to who you are as a person and how you go about the work that you do. So having that confidence in that motion is a struggle for a lot of people, in part because we've had so much control over our entire digital existence. We can post a post and then go change the headline, or change the URL, or rewrite the second paragraph. We can fuss with images down to the individual pixel. If we're recording and editing videos, we can cut out the things we don't like. And so we have all this control, second by second, pixel by pixel, letter by letter, character by character. But in these moments, whether it's a live video call or an asynchronous video message, part of Julie's message is we have to learn to let go in that moment and have this confidence that we are prepared, that we believe what we believe. And if we just, approach that in a humble, curious way, that other people will feel it and at least engage and perhaps continue with you.
Yeah.
It's that letting go moment that's so hard for so many people.
And why do you think that is? I mean, why do you think?
Oh boy.
Or
now we're in my
maybe we could share. Maybe we could share
Please.
why it's been hard for us in the past. I was on a TV show. I had a TV interview today, and I had never met the person who was interviewing me in person before. So it's a different experience meeting somebody in person that you've only connected with on Zoom. And the first thing he noticed was my shoes. And I was like, oh, well, that's funny. And he said, I got it portrayed something to him that he thought about me. It confirmed that I was a little edgy, right? That I had a different sense. I wasn't corporate style, right? And he was like, wow, I thought that about you, but those shoes confirm it. And it was a really cool awareness, you know, and I think, well, I'd love to know how you guys feel about letting go on video or in person. I mean, how do you feel being your true self and letting people see those mistakes?
I think that confidence is one of those things that it's fragile and it's fleeting, right? So you're only one stutter away from being like, all right, I'm not doing videos today. Let me come back to it tomorrow. So, and it's like, you did the stutter. That's a regular conversation. It's okay. You know, or you're, you know, if you have a couple appointments set up today and you don't close anybody, it's like, I suck at this. Maybe I should start looking. And if that extends to like the next week, and it's like, all right, maybe I should think about doing something else, whatever. And you don't realize who you are. So the authenticity of it all comes from you understanding, like, wait. Here's some of the things that I've already accomplished. Here are some of the things that I'm good at. This is why we have so much stuff that reminds us of who we are around us. So you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I did do that. Oh yeah, I did win that award. Oh, okay, I'm good at this. I'm good at this. You know, but it's very, very easy to forget. And you're caught in this moment where it's not going quite right. And then now you're judging yourself. And then now it's in your head. And then here comes the negative self-talk and all of the stuff that comes from that. And then now you're up at night scared to do this video that you probably should have done like 2 months ago. And it's all internal. And how you get past it is you just do it. And it's like, all right, I'm doing 2 takes. And if it sucks, then oh well. and then it gradually gets better, right?
Yeah. Or you work with a coach on your self-sabotage.
Right.
That Suzanne is demonstrating what we call enlightened self-interest, folks.
Yes.
Well, if you look at somebody that's, you know, looks professional and you compare-itis yourself to that person and you're like, damn, I'm not there, you know, scroll back all the way to their beginnings. And most of the time it won't be as polished. You know, they didn't have everything to help them make the polished video or whatever it is that you're seeing today and resonating with. You know, you go back to the way beginnings, you'll see that maybe things weren't just so, you know, they just being consistent and doing it is better than sitting there self-sabotaging ourselves into
For sure.
into stagnancy and nothingness.
Yeah.
I also think it's really important to have you know, an idea, have a vision of not only what obviously what you're going to say, but you know, what's your energy as you're putting this out, right? And so I know a lot of people that do voiceover, and you know, they are dressed, they've got the shoes on, which made me think of this, Suzanne, when you were talking about your shoes. You know, they are dressed. And I remember a guy that I took improv with. I totally recommend improv to everybody. In fact, I think everybody on the planet should take an acting class, right? So it's very interesting. But this guy was talking about, you know, he was so excited about getting this job, and it was during the pandemic, and he had set up this recording area for himself at home. And he got all dressed up in his shirt and tie and suit jacket, but he's in his boxer shorts and barefoot. And he said, you know, it didn't really come off so well. I thought that was hysterical because he wasn't all connected, right?
I could use some of that improv.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, I think everybody should do that.
Help shake off some stuff in the beginning when you start out. Yeah.
Well, I think we have to talk to a wide variety of people in our business, right? We have to talk to not only networking connections, we have to connect with people in our networking group, we have to connect with prospective clients, we have to connect with our existing clients. Like there's all these different roles that we're in when you're an entrepreneur. You have to be a marketer, you have to sell yourself, you have to be able to write your social media content. I mean, until you get to the point where you can have help in your business, you have to be able to communicate in all those different ways. my next question I have for you coaches are, how and what are your favorite ways to create conversations? How do you initiate conversations with people, whether it's on social media or in person at a cocktail party? What's your favorite way to do that? What feels most natural to you?
Well, I don't want to take up, I don't want to be too much interactive here in face of everybody else. But
Not at all. Not at all.
no, but to be curious about people, like, oh my gosh, how are you? Or, what a fabulous blouse you have on, or, what about those shoes? All of that kind of a thing, to be curious about them, and to get an idea of what's going on with them, and then the conversation will just go from there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
How
I
about
agree.
you, Martine?
Oh,
Oh, go ahead,
Bruce.
Bruce.
I was just say, I agree. Always, people want to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
And you can learn so much about them as to, why are you even here tonight, or various things about them that then they'll talk. And now when they ask me the question, now I can reply back with context that I know is interesting to them.
Mm-hmm.
And how about you, Martine? You're the curiosity guy. What are your favorite conversation starters?
I just ask people about themselves. I'm just genuinely curious. Like if I was, going to talk to Ethan, there's all kinds of things I could be curious about. I'm curious about, Michigan, how he feels about Michigan being ranked number 2, about his company. And, if I was going to talk about Michael, I mean, I've seen his book, and, just really interested in how he's done what he's done. And, I like his glasses. He seems like he's got a great smile and all that. There's just so many things to be curious about. I typically don't talk about myself, because I just always tell people, it's like, I already know about myself.
Mhm.
So I don't need to hear.
I've met me.
Yeah, I've met me. Yeah. And I'm working on that, guy. So, I typically, don't try to make myself, very much part of the conversation. I believe that people speak because they have a need. And so I'm really interested in what the needs that people have when they speak for. We're only talking for a reason. Otherwise we don't talk. So I think it's important to find out why somebody, I think who was it that said that, like Bruce said, like, why did you, how'd you come here? I'm going to 2 holiday parties tonight. And I would be just genuinely curious about why people showed up, like Bruce said. What brought you here? Who do you know? And just to get to know people. I just love getting to know people. And that meets my need.
All right. Next question.
Maybe not the most glamorous answer.
That's right.
Well,
So I'll throw one more
know-
thought out in that
Sure.
same thing is by getting people to talk about themselves. Some people have, Martine's talking about people have a need, this is why they talk. Sometimes it's just to hear themselves. And if you let them go first, and you've got half an hour to talk, and they take 27 minutes, then you think, wow, that's a real waste. I didn't get to talk. But I think about it as an investment, that I don't ever need to talk to them again, because all they care about is themselves. So in half an hour, I've learned, a lot that's actionable.
I have to disagree with that, because if somebody has 27 minutes of something to say, I think it's great to grant somebody that kind of listening. I think that's a very generous gift to give to somebody, to be able to listen to somebody and hear what they have to say. And I think that's an experience that they're going to have that they don't have with other people. So you've given a gift, and I think it's easy to pick up the phone and have another conversation and maybe talk about what you need to talk about, because very few people give that kind of gift, which is a listening and not interrupting, being respectful. It's just kind of the curiosity theory. That's just my theory.
I think context matters. I mean, if it's a joint meeting, you're supposed to introduce, then yeah, if you're just meeting someone and they're interesting, I'll just let them talk all night.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to like I'm an energy person. Let's see what the vibe is. Let's see how this feels. Let's see if we can connect. Let's see if this conversation is actually going to go somewhere. And the beauty of all of it is to kind of just get lost in the moment. You know, if it goes somewhere, cool. But we have no idea who this person knows that knows somebody else and where this could go. You know, so let's just be a good person and be genuine and have a regular conversation. You know, like I'm wearing a What If shirt. Did you watch What If? Did you like What If? Are you a Marvel fan? And what I have found is that these Harry Potter people is completely different from everybody else. So if we go anywhere near Harry Potter, I'm Slytherin, by the way. So I know that this is going to get going, and that conversation is going to be, and it's a different kind of connection because now you're one of us, you know, and now we have this that we can share. And I love every movie, all 8 of them, and we're going to talk about that, right? And then that's going to lead to something else. And then now I'm not everybody else. And I think that's the key in having these conversations. I don't want to hear your pitch. You know, I want to know who you are as a person and see what we can do together to be great. Now, if we can be great, then let's do it. And if this feels weird or off, that's okay. I'm gonna go this way, and nice to meet you. You know, but if it feels good, let's explore it.
Can I throw something in? I love what you said there, Jason. And to me, it's about experience, like my life. Like I got so much time to live on this planet. And I like having great experiences. And so just listening to you talk about Harry Potter and the energy that you had, you know, I like that. So you've contributed to my experience of the last couple minutes. Same thing, you know, when Bruce was talking about what he was talking about. Like I look at it like I disagreed with what he had to say, but it doesn't mean that he's wrong. I just kind of like disagreed a little bit, and then he said what he had to say. And to me, I appreciate those opportunities in life when you can kind of do that. You can kind of disagree with somebody, and then you can still have a dialogue and be respectful. So to me, that's about quality of life. And I just want to finish tonight with. It's my coaching call, but they're calling early. But I just want to finish tonight with some great experiences in my day, and this was one of them. And then I'm going to leave and have another great experience. And so at the end of my life, I have a lot of great experiences. I get to see a lot of beautiful faces and connect. And that's a life worth living.
Love it.
Well, and think about how much have you learned from people that you agree with versus how much have you learned from people you disagree with?
Both. I learned both.
Yeah. And so you got to be open to that and be open to learning from people that disagree, not think, oh, he disagreed with me.
Yeah. Absolutely. And be able to navigate through that. That's the thing is, you know, you can be able to navigate through people not agreeing with you, and then be able to be humble and be respectful and still stay in the loving and still stay kind in those kind of conversations, whether it's our spouse, a friend, you know, some colleague, somebody that we work with, because so many people are offended by people that don't agree with them, or people that show a little bit of conflict, a little bit of tension. And it's like, conflict is great. You learn a lot. Like you said, Bruce, you learn a lot by the people that don't agree with you. If you're willing to be humble.
The story you're carrying around might not be true anymore.
Exactly.
Right? Like it might have been true at one point. So you told it to yourself, you told it to somebody else. And now this is your position or your thought or your belief or your story. And having it challenged with someone you disagree with, all of a sudden, I mean, the key word you offered was humility, to have the humility and the self-awareness to say, is this still true? Was this ever true? You know, like, am I even right? You know, not that you need to be like unmoored at any point, but you know, that's part of what disagreement is about for me, is like, okay, why do I find this wrong? I guess would be the most harsh term, or disagreeable or confusing or uncredible or whatever. Like, why do I feel this way? And then you test it against the stories that you're building that reaction on, and they may have been true 5 years ago or 5 months ago or 5 hours ago, but they might not be true today. No reason to carry around false stories.
Or they might have been true 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
And they're still being dragged along.
Yeah, Catherine's onto something. Here's the fun part. Those stories we carry around with ourselves to say, like, this is what's true in the world. we actually formed the foundation of all of them between the ages of birth and 6 years old.
7, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so now imagine how much experience of life did you have at 4 years old
Mhm.
to create the foundation of this very important sense of identity and who you are and what's true in the world. And now that we're in our later in life, as Ethan said, the ones who, what was the reference you made there, Ethan? The mixtape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or if you're my age, when you're old enough to remember when quicksand was the biggest problem that that people would face in the world, right? From all the TV that we consumed. That's when these stories started. And they may not be true. They were true for you when you were 4 years old or 5 years old. But in our 50s, it's like, maybe a revision is in order. Maybe a little update.
Yeah.
And
That
to go
doesn't
back-
shift that doesn't shift you out of your core values.
No.
You know, those deep held
These-
belief
yeah.
systems. I mean,
These are the core values. They were formed at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how they get articulated through
Right.
life
Yeah.
can change easily.
Love it.
The core
Right.
values don't change very easily.
Right.
So
But the other stuff around it
how
does.
they get represented and how they get articulated. can.
Mhm.
I love it.
And
We gotta
sometimes
go,
those
guys.
stories get a little distorted.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's a
Martine.
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank-
Michael,
Nice to meet you.
I sent one of those, friend requests the connection requests on LinkedIn without anything right in it.
I'll make sure to look for your name.
Yeah.
Send them a paragraph too,
I-
with all your links.
That's all you yeah. Well, I just
Yeah.
so it was funny that you guys were talking about that because I got 2 messages, today from people. One said, "Hi Lisa, are you interested in learning about esogetic color puncture? And here's my next 2 classes." I don't know who this person is. I've never met them before. I don't know if I'm interested in whatever she was talking about. And then the next woman she messaged me and she was like, "It's so wonderful to meet you." And I mean, she just gave this, wonderful thank you for, "Hey, Lisa, I really try to make meaningful connections on LinkedIn, especially with female business owners and leaders in the industry. I would be honored to be your friend," and you could tell right away just by looking at those 2 separate messages, which one
Mhm.
you're drawn to. So,
Yeah.
a lot of times it's pretty easy to pick out the good people that know that developing a meaningful relationship is more important in their priority than it is just, "Hey, here's my sales."
Yeah, it's really
stuff.
about that long game.
Well, yeah.
And video, I think, can get the mission accomplished. Even a voice message, I do that a lot on
Yes.
LinkedIn. I'll be out walking the dog and I'll have connection requests, or I want to touch base with people, and I just go through and voice the message, and I feel like there's some more emotion than just typing. One of the other things I wanted to mention in the book, if you have a copy or you're going to get a copy, there's a formula for video prospecting in chapter 12 that I absolutely love. I wouldn't stick to it, word for word, but it was a really cool formula. The connection kind of sequence and how often you should message people to get them into conversation. I really enjoyed that. And our last, and we're going to wrap up in about 4 minutes. So I want to give Ethan a chance to talk about chapter 14, and I think it's 14, 15. Is there a 16?
There is a 16.
Yes. To talk about those chapters and where you see the future of human-centered communication going.
Yeah, that's obviously a really big question. But so 14 and 15, I just wanted to make the people and the chapters talk to each other a little bit. Where do they agree? Where do they disagree? What are the emergent themes? And so 14 is, key philosophies and strategies that were represented throughout with calls back so that people could bounce back and read a chapter they skipped or reread something or whatever. And then 15 was the same thing, but more tactical, practical, like things you can and should do. So we can get into those, but each one of them has 10 specific things that were observed throughout. Spoiler, the only real fun disagreement was virtual backgrounds.
No.
And
Oh,
there was one guy who's just like all in 100%. Like if you say they're bad, you're 100% wrong, but there's nuance. They need to be used in some way that's,
I find them useful sometimes.
totally additive, as long as it's additive in some way. And it's not just, the
you're like the
random
third
default.
head in that picture.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's what those two are doing. And so you can just like grab those ideas really quickly and then double back into the people that expressed them and gave some more, detail to them within their chapter. 16 was a look to the future. I started with deep fakes because I'm seeing
Oh boy.
fake versions of personal videos, right? So at BombBomb, we make it really easy to record and send video messages. Yes, you can record a video once and send it to 5,000 people or 472 people or 138 people or the 8 people working on this project. Likewise, you can record a video once and use it over and over and over and over and over and over again. I called that an evergreen video. And there are different reasons that you might do that. I think frequently asked questions is a really good one where, unless the person's situation is particularly unique, you might have approximately the right answer for somebody because you've been asked the question 85 times in the past, 8 months alone. And so you record a video that kind of addresses it. Those two things aside, sending to masses of people or lists of people and recording it once and using it over and over again, I personally feel like the highest and best use of video messaging in general is this bespoke moment that you've created specifically, uniquely for someone else, because it's a gift of your time and attention. As Catherine was saying about video in general, or perhaps any performance or any service delivery, or as long as it's about the other person and for the other person, and it's true to who you are and hopefully your unique expertise, that's the highest and best use. And so what people are doing is now perverting that concept by faking the beginning of the video to fake someone's name in. So I've actually recorded the video, but I'm going to act like it's just for you. And as you can imagine right now, technically they're garbage. Like even the super high-end deep fake videos, for example, one of the most popular ones was Barack Obama, but Barack Obama is someone who has hundreds of thousands of hours of his voice and his video available on the internet. So it's a really rich data set to train this machine to represent. And then of course, I forget the gentleman who voiced him. But it was a very prolific
Jordan Peele.
What's that?
Yeah,
Jordan Peele. Good. Thank you. Very prolific performer who has obviously done that impression many times. So that's the highest end. And so now they're taking everyday salespeople who are doing the copy and paste crap that we've already talked about on LinkedIn, but they're trying to do it now by faking like the video was made for you. And so I really wanted to set that tone to say, what is this about? Why are we here? Why are we doing these things? Because, when you do something like that, pretend to be something you're not. I would say the same thing about the deployment of automation or bots is totally fine as long as you don't pretend like it's a person, right? Like don't misrepresent what is going on here, because you might fool someone once or twice, but the third time it's like, they're not going to think this consciously, but you've betrayed my trust and I don't feel so good about you. And now at this point, you might be at a deficit in terms of like the, deposits and withdrawals concept in terms of building a relationship. Not that anyone thinks about it that transactionally in the moment, but, you're detracting from your potential to reach that person again in the future. So I use that as a launching point to talk about why these things matter, why thinking first about what's in it for the other person before you record a single second, before you type a single word. Why would someone open this email? Why should someone reply to this email? Why would someone watch this video? Or better yet, why would she watch this video? Why would he click that link and fill that survey out? Or, make that personal introduction for me. When we can think about it, what's in it for them, not only do we create this win-win scenario, but it makes us think about other people a lot more often, which makes us a better person, period. Not only is it more effective in the moment, it's more satisfying in terms of the way that we work. And then ultimately, this ties back to digital pollution. If we are to be a face and a name and a from email address when it hits someone's inbox or hits someone's feed or hits someone's LinkedIn message, or it's that Slack direct message, is our name going to be associated with the feelings that are positive and provoking, oh yeah, I'll absolutely get back to that person. We all have that in our inbox right now. I'm a hawk on my inbox. Right now, I have like 25 messages in my inbox, and I feel like I really want to get that down to 10 by the weekend. So I'm all over it. And there are a few in there where I'm like, this one is going to sit. I have other priorities. This person, I don't know who they are because I'm not looking at it right now, and it wouldn't matter specifically, but we've all been there. It's like, I don't know this person well, and this isn't a warm introduction. I need to sit on that for a minute because I have these other priorities. It's like, how are we going to be prioritized? Are we going to be replied to at all? Is this the swipe delete on the phone before you ever get to your real inbox? What is our name and our face and our likeness and our email address going to be associated with for someone else? That association is based in how we have made them feel, because feelings and that emotional resonance that we leave interaction by interaction, moment by moment, impression by impression, drives both memory. Are we to be memorable and memorable in a positive way? And is going to motivate someone to act. And certainly video has a role to play there, but I think fake anything is not the way to start a relationship.
No.
I'm almost shocked that that's even a thing. Like it's so
okay.
weird.
It is shocking. So some of the rooms that I'm in discussing these ideas, some of what I'm sharing is borderline heretical, even though if I was one-on-one with any of the people in that room and we were just talking about what we know is intuitively true as fellow human beings, we'd be like in agreement. Yeah, totally. But somehow when we get into this business context where we need to honor the revenue number or we need to play our role in this system or process, we create this separation within ourselves that allows us to do things that we would never do if it was our sister or our friend or our team member in some cases. There's just something really perverse about the mechanics of the way that we do business that allows us to dehumanize ourselves and dehumanize other people. And sometimes, if you don't have a lot of power in your situation, there are a lot of frontline roles where people, and there's some of them are referred to in the book. I'm thinking of a business development rep and a team of 6 or 20 or 100 of these business development reps. I know business development reps that we serve as BombBomb customers who are tasked with sending 500 emails a day from an enterprise level organization. So enterprise, to say total addressable market is smallish, right? Companies that can spend 6 figures on a digital asset management install, for example. So the addressable market isn't that large. No one wants to send 500 emails a day because first and foremost, it's going to provoke no replies, because the nature of what's required to do that it's dehumanizing work, and it creates this environment. Last thing, I could monologue on this all day because I'm so obviously passionate about it. You have to know, you all seem like forthright people who want to do things the right way, who believe in yourselves and care about your reputation. So to you, the challenge isn't how do I reduce my own pollution, although that could be part of it. It's how might I adapt some of my behavior, knowing that when I show up in someone's feed or I show up in someone's inbox, that I am among these other things that are of questionable purpose, questionable motivation, questionable sources, etc. This low trust, high volume environment where people are quick to make decisions. Like, how are we to operate in that environment so that we get, I'm saying this the wrong way because it's the selfish way, but essentially get the attention that we deserve. Sometimes this happens all the time. You've said this to someone, you've heard this from someone. Oh, you didn't get that? Go check your spam folder. The reason you're in the spam folder is not that you are a suspect sender. It's that the algorithms are trying to serve the people and they're maybe getting false positives in the mix. And so you got sidelined, or something that you actually wanted and asked for gets sidelined in your spam box. And so we have to know that that's the nature of the environment that we're operating in. And so if we meet people more than halfway with whatever we're presenting, especially with a digital message or experience, if we can meet them more than halfway, we're doing them a service. And I'm leaning even a little bit into Donald Miller's story brand, making it easier for other people to understand, who are you? Why did I get this? And what's my opportunity to proceed? And why might I do it? The easier we can make that for people, the more we're serving them. And that requires applying the human-centered design process that has 3 components. The first is desirability and the needs of people. The second is feasibility and the possibilities of technology. And third, viability and the requirements for business success. The problem is, when most people design a message or a campaign or whatever, they start with, what is the business need? What's the definition of business success? And they immediately go to, what's feasible? Oh, I can set this up once and blast it to 1,000 people, and they stop there. Whereas all we need to do is not just incorporate desirability and what's in it for the other person or what's in it for these people, but actually make that first and foremost. And that's what I mean by going a little bit more than halfway. The easier we can make it for other people by thinking about who they are, even if it's a group of people. We go into our CRM, and if this is true and this is true, this number is between this range and this criteria is false, automatically send this message. As soon as those 4 criteria I just imagined are met, automatically send this message, or build me a list of all the people that fit those 4 criteria. And I'm going to send a mass email to them. But just because I know what those 4 criteria are, I can speak to them and serve them in a more intentional way, as opposed to just saying, oh crap, I need to get more attendance on this webinar, or, I need to get more people to this event, or I need to, book 5 more appointments, or else my accountability partner is going to say, where are those 5 more appointments you said you were going to get? And then we do these things. Again, these are the circumstances we find ourselves in, where we're rushing, we're not serving, we're just in this mode of, I need what I need, and I'm just going to do it. And then afterward, you might be like, oh yeah, maybe I could have done that better. And so then, what is normal? What's culture? Whether you're a solopreneur or you're on a small team or a large organization, how do we do it around here? Or how do I do it around here? Or what example do I want to set for my small team? It all matters. Yeah. Anyway,
It does.
I got at least a half an hour more of that. But anyway, I'll stop talking now because we're over time. And
yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was great. I appreciate you, Ethan, so much for joining us tonight and your insights on communication and how can everyone, you put your link in the chat, and connect with Ethan on LinkedIn. He has some great content, great people surrounding him to engage with. And thank you again for joining us. Thank you, coaches, for being here. I'm going to stop recording, and